Downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
And we begin the news at 5 with the weather. A wind advisory in effect tonight as we take a live look at Metro Airport, where a wind gust was clocked at close to 50 miles an hour today. The wind bringing in as well some much colder temperatures too.
Yeah, so let's get right over to Kim Adams and the forewarned forecast. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim. Well, we have wind gusts upwards of 48 miles per hour in some spots, including Metro Airport, 47 mile per hour gusts in Pontiac. These are the maximum wind gusts within the last 24 hours. A 37 mile per hour gust was reported in Mount Clemens and a 43 mile per hour gust in Ann Arbor. So we are still under a wind advisory until 10 o'clock tonight for all of southeast lower Michigan. The winds are strong enough to where they can cause some isolated power outages. Also, if you drive a high profile vehicle, you might have a little trouble controlling it on the roadways. All right, we also have a little bit of snow out there as well. It's very light, just a few flurries, but we'll do some street level mapping for you. Waterford, Oxford, West Bloomfield, and Farmington Hills. Just a few flurries at this hour, some of it not even reaching the ground, but there's also a few flurries in northern parts of Macomb County and into St. Clair County as well. Should not cause any problems tonight on the roads, but it is cold. Those high winds causing wind chills to be in the teens, even though temperatures will be dropping down into the 20s. Now we have a roller coaster ride over the next several days of temperatures, wind, also a few rain showers headed our way. So you definitely want to download the Forewarned Weather app. It's free. It can keep you up to date on all the latest weather in your neighborhood in between newscasts. Go to your favorite app store and just type in WDIV TV and download the Forewarned Weather app today.
"12:51 this afternoon, the town of Oxford stood silent. A year ago to the minute, a gunman opened fire at Oxford High School.
He took 4 young lives in a matter of minutes, leaving an indelible mark on the community. Flags across the state are at half-staff today, and we've seen moving new tributes pop up in support of the families and the town.
Like this new O sign outside the bowling alley, which is offering free bowling to residents today.
And there's this wall of stars in downtown Oxford. It's full of messages from people all across the state.
All in honor of these 4 people: Hannah St. Juliana, Justin Schilling, Madison Baldwin, and Tate Meir. And tonight, 2 parents who lost their children in the shooting are candidly talking about their heartbreak.
And more importantly, how they want their sons and daughters remembered. Sean Lay is live in Oxford tonight, where hearts we know are weighing heavy, Sean.
Absolutely. Very somber day here, and you're right. I did sit down with the parents of Tate Meir and the mother of Justin Schilling. We talked about how they want their sons to be remembered, they say, for their gratitude and for their kindness. We also looked forward, however, and talked about the prosecution in this case going for a life sentence for the person who's already admitted guilt in the shooting. 1 year later, how do you go on? Jill Suave was one of the parents who lost a child 1 year ago. Justin Schilling, just 17 years old.
When I think I can't, go on, I have to really surrender to God and say, please flow through me, work through me, help me to just, stay upright, be a mom to my kids, and really, staying connected to Justin, praying to him too, like, come on, give mom faith. We're going to have to get through this.
Suave hopes people remember Justin for his impact. She hopes people see Justin's photo, see the victims' faces, and take a moment to lift someone up.
I've had a lot of students and the close friends reach out and say just that, like, it's kind of cheesy, but what would Justin do? Justin would get up, he would try hard, he wouldn't give up. And just going out of your way to be kind to everybody.
Buck and Sherry Meir have been talking about how to approach this day for a while. Their son Tate was taken from them. Buck says he pours his life into the peer-to-peer mentoring organization he established, 42 Strong. He says Sherry is starting to become more engaged, but
the first couple months after it happened, Sherry was holed up, and there was 2 spots that she would go to in town, and she would pick the times where there wasn't any people there, and she would go there and have her tea or her smoothie, and then she would come home, and that was her little escape out of the house. And so we talked about it, and she wants to give.
There's just some people I want them to know that I'm grateful for them, that they were there for me in the beginning and have been throughout this whole thing. and just to show my thanks.
The three are suing the Oxford School District. Their attorney, Ben Johnson, says it's about getting answers and holding those who could have prevented it accountable. But a big role for him this year has been to be there for these parents.
What I love and appreciate about these folks, my clients, is they've done everything that they can do legally to ensure that it never happens to anybody else's child.
And these parents' reaction to prosecutors asking for life in prison for the shooter.
Let's say he got 25 years, our kids aren't going to come back in that amount, you know, so how would that be fair? So yeah, life to me would be the only option that I would really want.
Back here live in Oxford, can't tell you how much I appreciate these parents sitting down and sharing these feelings on this particular day, knowing how hard this day would be. Oxford Community mural right behind me here, center of town. We've seen families coming by, taking pictures all day today. Day of remembrance here, no school, very somber day indeed. Devin, Kimberly, back to you.
And just remarkable strength from those parents today and the whole year. Sean, I know you spoke with a parent whose daughter was injured in the shooting too. What did she share with you?
The mother of Phoebe Arthur. Phoebe was shot in the chest and her neck. Long road ahead in the hospital after the shooting. She survived. Her mother said school was out today, so just being together. She was so grateful for time with her daughter on this day today.
Yeah, blessings to them and all of them. All right, Sean, we appreciate it so much.
Our coverage of the one-year anniversary of the tragedy in Oxford will continue over this next 90 minutes of news and on clickondetroit.com.
At 5:45, Karen Drew takes you inside the landmark case against the parents of the shooter, the charges they face, and the national implications. And at 6, we focus on school safety, how much money is really being spent to protect our children.
All right, also here at 5, it is crunch time for Congress with 2 major deadlines rapidly approaching. Today, the House is expected to vote on a bill that could prevent a nationwide rail strike and block what would be a devastating blow to the economy. But lawmakers are also under pressure to pass a spending bill to avert a government shutdown. The latest from Alice Barr in Washington. Alice.
Good evening. Congress is racing to squeeze in some key priorities between now and the end of the year while staving off a potentially crippling rail strike and shutdown. Congress in a sprint to meet key deadlines before the end of the year, today passing the baton to a new generation of leaders. House Democrats making history by electing Hakeem Jeffries as their new leader, the first black leader of either party in Congress.
The least, the lost, and the left behind, House Democrats fight for the people.
Jeffries will lead the caucus in the minority when Republicans take control of the House next year.
The joint resolution is passed.
And in a rare show of bipartisanship, the House today passing legislation to avert a nationwide rail strike that threatens economic calamity by grinding supply chains to a halt just before the holidays. The bill that imposes a labor agreement between rail companies and their workers now heads to the Senate.
We want to avoid a shutdown and be as fair to the workers as we can be.
But some senators in both parties are threatening roadblocks.
Why should the federal government force a contract on workers that they have explicitly rejected?
The workers' biggest sticking point, paid sick leave.
The unions, where the members voted the deals down, felt that this needed to be a part of any ultimate agreement.
The House approved a measure to add sick leave to the labor deal, and some Democratic senators say they won't support it without the sick leave. But time is running out. President Biden today warning that without a final vote this week to avoid a rail shutdown, railroads will begin to halt the movement of critical materials like chemicals to clean our drinking water as soon as this weekend. All this as the threat of a government shutdown looms just weeks away. While negotiations continue over how to fund the government by December 16th, there is progress on another key priority for this Congress, the House preparing to take up a bill to protect same-sex and interracial marriage that has now passed through the Senate with bipartisan support. In Washington, Alice Barr, Local 4.
All right, Alice, wild cloud bank behind her there at the Capitol. While RSV is not gone, at least case numbers aren't on the increase as they were a few weeks ago. Influenza, though, very different matter.
Yeah, Dr. Frank McGeorge is here with what he's been seeing in the ER and how that compares to what the CDC says is going on in Michigan. So is it safe to assume, Frank, that the flu is on the rise now?
It is, Kim and Devin. In fact, you wouldn't know it, though, from looking at the CDC map of influenza-like illnesses across the U.S. This is the current CDC flu map, and you can see Michigan in green right here at minimal activity, basically surrounded by a sea of moderate to high activity. So what makes Michigan such a healthy oasis? Well, actually nothing. It's most likely from a natural lag in data reporting.
We're hearing from the hospitals, and our surveillance systems are telling us that influenza cases are going up and more people are presenting to emergency departments and inpatient hospital settings with influenza right now. And I anticipate that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian, Michigan's chief medical executive, says she expects our numbers will catch up to neighboring states.
When we look at the number of patients with influenza presenting to hospitals, that number is clearly going up.
One clear problem is the number of people that have been vaccinated. As of November 12th, 2.2 million doses have been given in Michigan. The goal is 4 million doses.
Where we are is below where we were last year, below where we were the year before, and far below the goal of where we need to be to protect communities, keep people safe, and protect our healthcare system.
No vaccine is perfect, but so far, this year's flu shot would be expected to have an impact if more people were vaccinated.
We never fully know if that was the best match until after our flu season is over. But our preliminary data does tell us that this influenza vaccine does appear to be a good match. I think there's a lot of vaccine fatigue. I think people are tired of thinking about viral illnesses, which is really hard because we're heading into a tough season for those who are most vulnerable.
So the bottom line is it is still not too late to get vaccinated. And from what I've seen at Henry Ford working over the weekend, the flu is definitely here and quickly on the rise. In fact, in the past 2 weeks, our percent positive for flu tests has gone from just over about 1% to now 9%. And I am certain we are nowhere near peak activity.
Jump coming. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Frank.
Much more to come on this Wednesday.
Let's check in with Hank.
Are you toy shopping this holiday